Hello and welcome to the YouTubes and to this edition of the 10 Honest Things review with HonestJohn.co.uk. Now, we are doing this massive Volvo, so I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh man, he's just going to spend the whole time talking about safety and making terrible references to ABBA and a Batman. Batman is Swedish, man! He lives in Gothenburg! Anyway, we're not going to do that at all. Ish. I mean, you can't talk about a Volvo without talking about safety, can you? But what you can do is make safety exciting. Crash! Bang! Wallop! What a Volvo! All my idea, that.
But really, Volvo is obsessed with crashing its cars on purpose. Well, mostly on purpose. But the result is that the XC90 is probably the safest car ever made. It's the first car ever fitted with a protection system just in case you drive off the road, and another one just in case you turn into oncoming traffic. So if you're a bit of a dotty driver, this is the car for you.
It can also detect if another dotty driver is about to rear-end you, and it'll start flashing the lights furiously to warn them. And if they still don't get it, it'll tighten the seatbelts up so it'll sort of protect you in advance. And then on top of that, it's got all the usual safety shizzle, like being full of airbags and electronic safety systems and all that kind of stuff. And on a more fundamental level, it has a chassis like Ed Sheeran's songwriting technique. There's lots of stealing. Hey! The other thing it has is what? No, that'll still be topical when this goes out. The whole X Factor thing, Matt Cardle. I forgot what this was about now. Anyway, despite all that safety stuff, Volvo evidently kept some time and money back to make this new XC90 a lot more luxurious than the crusty old XC90, which is sort of like a fat estate for gilet enthusiasts. And bloody hell, this thing is really refined, like luxury car refined. Like, it's just really soft and lovely and armchairish. So much so, in fact, that quite often you just find yourself like drifting off and thinking about other things like you would in your house. That was it. Moose detection. Of course it's got moose detection. So like I was saying, this is as soft and wallowy and refined a car as you can imagine. Having said that, this particular one's on 2 grand's worth of air suspension, and yours might not be. Either way though, it corners like who gives a monkeys? Or a moose in this case. Because let's be honest, you do not buy an SUV like this to go around corners quickly, or to go off-road for that matter. You buy it for space, and in this case, the winner being the buyer, takes it all. The winner takes it all the space.
Anyway, Volvo officially quotes 314 litres as the boot space for this, which sounds piddly, but that's with the rearmost seats up. With them down, it's 775, and with the middle row down, it goes up to nearly 1900.
Now, if it wasn't pretty spacious back here, you'd be baffled and probably a bit annoyed because it's an absolutely massive car. But what is impressive about this is that it's pretty spacious back there too. As you can see, I'm only moderately folded up back here, which is about the best you can hope for in something like this.
Yep, the best thing about the Volvo XC90 is the cabin, which is absolutely mint. The materials are lovely, the design is minimalist and cool, what few physical switches there are feel quality, and most of the functions are controlled through this screen, which for a car infotainment system is huge. A bit like... Hang
on, I'll just see if I can find something on my new phone. Hello?
And what you should know about this, the Sensus touchscreen infotainment system, is that it's not all size and no substance. It's actually brilliant to use, with beautiful HD graphics and a really intuitive setup. You'll instantly feel like you know it, and it knows you, you might say. It's nowhere near as clunky as this dialogue anyway. And look at this reversing camera, right? It's so high definition that backing into a space is like being part of Autumn Watch Live.
And so to the obligatory engine shot, where I stand to the side of a diesel engine and I tell you that it's quite economical, quite tax efficient, but it's a little bit noisy. Well, not today.
See, you can get a diesel with this, and yes, it's quite economical and tax efficient and blah-de-blah-de diesel, blah blah. In fact, it's almost certainly the only version you'll consider buying. And the fact that there's a 320 horsepower, 35 miles per gallon T6 petrol version probably won't even cross your mind, let alone change it.
But this T8 might, which combines that petrol engine with an 87 horsepower electric motor for pulsating performance. And get this, 134.5 miles per gallon. 134.5 and 49 grams per kilometre of CO2. Now they're just numbers, but they are the stuff of dreams. Like all these things, the plug-in has its drawbacks though. The good thing is, unless Volvo's a big fat liar, this will do 25 miles on its battery alone, which means for that time you'll get lovely silent electric driving with all its additional refinement and zero emissions at the tailpipe.
But unless you keep it plugged in regularly, you'll find the battery is empty most of the time, in which case you're simply driving a T6 petrol around with an electric motor and a battery for company. And the fuel economy will suck. Suck as in well under 30 miles per gallon. Suck.
It also costs nearly 14 grand more for the T8 version than it does for a D5 diesel. So unless you're banging to 100% first year write down allowance and super low BIK payments, then the T8 just makes no sense really. And so to the equipment bit, and it's a list that goes on and on and on. Thankfully I've got it here. So every version of the XC90 from Momentum upwards gets the following: massive touchscreen media system with nav, voice control, DAB radio, 19-inch alloy wheels, full LED headlights, 2-zone climate control, leather seats, the front one's heated, keyless entry and engine starting, an adaptive digital driver's display, and something called Pilot Assist, which will steer and brake for you on the motorway.
Wow.
And there's a couple of trim levels above that, but to be honest, a diesel base level XC90 is all the car you'll ever need. And that is the thing, because whatever version of the XC90 you buy, it is just an outstanding do-it-all car most of the time. In fact, it was my personal favourite car of 2015 because it's sort of like 9/10 of a Range Rover, but at 2/3 of the price. I love it. I do. So does he. Who gives a monkeys, or a moose in this case? Because you do. Sorry.
Be professional.
Yeah, you are.